Hi, I'm Julia and welcome back to my channel. I've been sewing my own clothes for a couple of years now and I thought it would be really fun to make a video showing you everything that I have made so far. I'm going to try each piece on, show you what it looks like, tell you what pattern I used, if any, and I'll also tell you where I got my fabric, if I can remember, and any notes or other relevant information about the making process. For this video, I am just going to be focusing on clothing that I have sewn. I'm not going to be including shirts or sweaters that I've knitted, and I'm also not going to be including things like bags or quilts or other miscellaneous sewing projects, although I have made a lot of those over the years. So you can let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in seeing separate videos about things like that. I might make videos like that in the future. The first project I wanted to share with you is the first item of clothing that I ever made and also the first time that I used a pattern for a sewing project, and that was the Agustina top by Fabric Store. Alright, so here it is. This is a pretty simple top pattern and I remember it being quite easy to sew. Definitely a good beginner project. The fabric is, I think, a cotton linen blend. I got it from my local fabric store. And yeah, I really enjoyed sewing this shirt. It was great for someone who's just getting into sewing, and it came together very quickly. You learn a few different techniques when you're making this. So there's bias binding around the neckline, which I think was a great technique to learn as someone who's just getting started with sewing. And yeah, it's a nice simple shirt that's very easy to wear and really nice for the summertime. This was my next sewing project, and it was the first pattern that I ever bought. It is the Jenny Overalls by Closet Core Patterns, and I just made it in some quilting cotton, so probably not the ideal fabric to make overalls out of, but I think it worked fine. I've worn these quite a bit. It has things like interfacing in this belt part. It has zippers on the side for opening and closing, and it also has things like buttonholes. So these were a lot of techniques that were new to me. I'm not sure if it was rated for beginners or not, but I found it easy enough to follow the instructions. I thought they were well written, and I was able to figure everything out, even though this was really the second thing that I had sewn for myself. I also wanted to show you what I did for the lining on this one because I think it's a really nice color fabric that goes very well with the outer fabric. So I enjoyed doing the lining, I thought. And you can also see that as the lining for the strap. I did make an alteration to the pattern, and that was having the back go like this, like just one piece, and then it joins and becomes two straps, because I didn't want to do the crisscross straps that the pattern comes with. So I just drafted up this piece for the back panel, roughly following something that I had seen somebody else do online. I really like the pocket in the front. I like how it's different than a lot of other overall patterns, and it's just got these like diagonal and then it's sewn down here. So there's kind of two different openings, but it's all one pocket on the inside. And you can't really tell from this video, but I made shorts instead of long pant overalls, so I'll insert some photos so that you can see what it looks like. I really like the look of them, but I don't find that I wear them as much as I probably would if they were pants, because overalls tend to be something that is kind of warmer in the upper area. So it's hard to find days when the weather is suitable for kind of wanting to have that extra layer on top, but also wanting to wear shorts. Alright, so from here on out, we're not exactly going in chronological order because I don't remember the exact order in which I sewed the rest of my garments. But this was one of the next patterns I used. It is called the Work Dress by Ella Harp. It's a free or pay what you can pattern, and it is one of my favorite patterns of all time. I love the dress. It is super comfortable, and there's so many different options for how you can customize it. So you can change the neckline to be really anything you want. You can have a button-down front or a plain front. You can change the length of the sleeves. The making process is so much fun, and for me it was an opportunity to learn things like French seams and flat felt seams, which I had never done before and which I've since incorporated into lots of the sewing projects that I've made. It also has big patch pockets. After sewing that dress, I very quickly sewed another one using the same pattern, but altering it slightly so that it has a V neckline, and of course doing it in a different color. This is also done in 100% linen that I got from Fabric Store. This is one of my favorite dresses. It's probably the dress that I wear the most. I really like the color and I really like the shape of it. It's super comfortable, just everything about it is awesome. This is a pair of shorts that I made with the Jenny overalls pattern. So they do come with the option to just make a simple pair of shorts. The opening enclosure for getting them on and off is at the side, and I just did it with buttons, but you can also choose to do a zipper instead or a combination of both. They are quite high-waisted shorts. I'll try and hopefully this gives you a better perspective. It is probably not in focus, but you can get the gist of the shape of these shorts. They have really big patch pockets in the back, which are nice. And then I've paired it with this Stellan Tee, which is one of my favorite shirt patterns. It has a very relaxed fit. It is super comfortable. I made this one quite cropped, so the original is longer and I think has a curved hem, but I just made a straight one and cropped it. And an interesting thing about this shirt is that I sewed it entirely by hand. This was probably my first or one of my first times using stretch or knit fabric, and I just didn't know yet how to adjust the stitch settings on my machine to make it work properly with knit fabric. So I was getting a lot of like puckering and the seams being very wavy and not turning out well at all. So I just took a needle and thread and sewed all of the seams by hand using a stretch stitch, and because this shirt is pretty cropped, it didn't feel like too much work, and I think it did turn out really well. I really like the stitch work along the seams, and yeah, it's one of my favorite shirts. This is another version of the Stellan Tee sewn in a cotton and hemp blend fabric. I made it a bit longer this time, and this and the fabric that I used on the shirt that I just showed you both came from a shop called Fabcycle, which is based in Vancouver and specializes in upcycling fabric. I've gotten a lot of my fabric from there over the years, and it's a really fun experience because you're getting fabric that is oftentimes unique and you're not going to find it anywhere else. Watch my hair get more and more disheveled as this video goes on. I do not remember the name of this pattern at the moment. I do talk about it in one of my other videos, and of course I'll link it in the description when I look it up later. But yeah, this is a really nice tank top pattern, and I paired it with a pair of self-drafted shorts that I made in some linen fabric. Okay, so I really ought to have looked up the names of patterns before I started recording this video. I don't remember what this one is called either. It's a shirt I made quite a while ago, but I will link it in the description. The fabric is from Fabcycle, so it's probably not something that you'll be able to get a hold of, but if you wanted to check out that shop, you might find something new and exciting and interesting. I really like this top. I wear it all the time. It's very comfortable and loose fitting, and yeah, I typically wear it with the sleeves rolled up like this, but it is a long sleeve shirt, so I'll show you what it looks like. That way, the sleeves, and there we go. This is something that I self-drafted using some very small little remnants of fabric from the fabric that I used for a couple of the shirts that I showed you earlier. It is fully lined on the inside, but for the lining I did not have pieces that were large enough, so I kind of just cobbled together a bunch of smaller pieces. So there are a lot of seams running up and down on the inside, but it doesn't really matter because they're on the inside, so you can't see them anyway. This is another item in kind of a similar shape, but it is not made from my own remnants of fabric. This is something that they were selling on Fabcycle as like a kit, I think they were calling it, and it came with just pieces of fabric that were already cut out in this shape and sewn together on one seam. And so the point was to take this project that I guess somebody else had already started, or maybe it was part of some kind of something with the textile industry, because they had lots and lots of these available, and the kit came with I think 5 different pieces that look exactly like this. So the point was to finish it yourself, and it didn't come with straps, so to make them I had to cut up some of the pieces. And the fabric that it came with was just this plain, like the light blue that you see here. And I thought that this would be fun. I mean, the reason I kind of purchased this kit is because I was doing some experimenting with indigo shibori at the time, so I thought it would be fun to do some of that on this and create a kind of interesting top. So that's what I did. I've also done some different indigo shibori patterns on some other pieces of fabric like this, but I just have not gotten around to sewing them together. This is a button-down shirt that I made. It is self-drafted, roughly based off of a shirt that I already owned. And yeah, I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. It is made in 100% linen fabric from Fabric Store. This is another button-down shirt that I made using the same self-drafted pattern, but I changed it a bit by making the sleeves shorter and cropping it in length. I also have the 3 pieces that I made from an IKEA duvet cover, which include this top, this dress using the Ella Harp work dress pattern, and this self-drafted button-down shirt. I self-drafted this dress and used indigo shibori to get the pattern on it. I'll insert some photos so that you can see what it looks like full length. I'm really happy with the way this dress turned out, and I absolutely love the uniqueness of the indigo shibori detail. This is a jacket that I made using the olive jacket pattern from Mood Fabrics. It is made of 100% linen on the outside and a cotton flannel on the inside. The linen comes from Fabric Store, the flannel comes from Fabcycle. I wear this jacket all the time, inside the house and outside, and it is quite wrinkly and probably due for an iron at this point. I also made a few modifications to the pattern. I got rid of the lower pockets, and I didn't include the facing, which now I think would have been a good idea since I wouldn't have seen this little bit of the lining poking through. So if I ever make this again, I will be using the facing. This is another Agustina top that I made using the leftover fabric that I had after making the Ella work dress. I had just enough fabric left over to make this. This is the pattern where I finally learned how to properly sew with knit fabrics on my domestic machine. It is the Blomma Tank by Paradise Patterns, and it's a free pattern. It's really great for learning to work with knit. There's a chart included in the pattern that shows you how to adjust your stitch settings for your zigzag stitch for different usage. So you use a wider zigzag stitch, sometimes for finishing the seams, but typically a narrower one, and with your stitches spaced further apart for doing things like the side seams. So I found that really useful, and it helped me learn how to work with knit fabric without the seams puckering or getting any kind of unwanted effects. And here's another one that I did in black. By the way, both of those fabrics came from Fabcycle, and this is another shirt that I made in the same material as the first Blomma Tank that I showed you. This is some more material from Fabcycle. This is, I think, 100% cotton, and it's a waffle type fabric. And the other ones that I showed you were also cotton stretch fabric. This is a Raglan Pullover that I actually did a whole video about the process of making. So if you're interested in seeing that, I'll put a link in the description below. I made this by copying a shirt that I already owned, and I basically laid out the shirt on some paper, traced around all of the seams, leaving a bit of a seam allowance, and copied the pattern and used that to cut out the pieces to make this one. More Fabcycle fabric. This is made with a cotton terry. I really like the color, and it has raglan sleeves. It's a self-drafted pattern. It's just a nice cozy sweater, and I tend to wear it more in the winter time. I made this out of some linen. I typically wear it with something underneath, so I'll show you what that looks like in a second. But yeah, it's this kind of combination shorts and top, and it has these tie-ups on the shoulders. And here it is with a shirt underneath. This is how I would typically wear it. I usually pair it with this shirt because I like the color combination, and this would be a summer outfit. I made this shirt dress fairly recently using up the last bit of this cotton fabric that I had from Fabcycle, and I initially underestimated, I guess, the outward angle of the skirt, and I just didn't really like the way it fit. It wasn't the kind of drapiness that I was going for, so I ended up inserting these like little triangles. I don't know if you can see the seams, but there's basically a triangle of fabric going kind of up the side here, which makes it have a better shape and have more flowiness to it. So I added those in. You can't really see them, you don't really notice them. And I think they kind of fit in well with the design anyway. But yeah, that's a little detail hiding a mistake in self-drafting. It's a really cozy dress and I like it a lot. This was a fun project. I don't know if you can tell how many seams there are, but this is something that I put together out of a failed button-down shirt that I had attempted to make. And so it's got a few, let's see if I can find them for you. Like here and here, so the sleeve has a seam here and one here. And I think it's on the other side. Yeah, there's this like extra little bit, so there's a seam here and here because I had to tack that on. Oh, and it actually goes all the way down to there where I had to tack on this little extra piece to make the shirt piece wide enough. The button placket is also salvaged from the original button-down shirt, but then I made the button spacing be a bit closer together. And then there's a seam right across here, and obviously just plain fabric for the rest of the front of the shirt. I put elasticated cuffs on the sleeves, and yeah, it's a really nice shirt that I enjoy and wear a lot. And it kind of just came together out of whatever fabric I could salvage from this failed button-down shirt. So I really like doing that, taking a project that didn't work out and turning it into something that does work out and that I will end up wearing and getting some use out of. So I try not to ever let fabric go to waste or just sit in the pile of projects that didn't make the cut. And sometimes you end up creating something really cool that you might not otherwise have thought to try. I think it gives you a bit more freedom of experimentation when you're just using something that you consider to be scraps or potentially would be waste otherwise. This is another project along similar lines. I created this shirt out of a failed pair of pants, and as a result it inherited this really large pocket that was part of the pants pattern. So I really wanted to figure out how to work that into a shirt and ended up just having this massive pocket on the front of my shirt, which I think is a really fun feature. And yeah, this is a shirt that I like a lot and enjoy wearing. This is a fun top that I made recently with some 100% organic cotton fabric that I got from a store called Maiwa. It's a self-drafted pattern. I made it kind of following a shirt that I saw an image of on Pinterest. And the one thing that I should have done differently, I don't know if you can see, there's these pin tucks that go up and down these parts. And I did each panel separately, and I really should have made one larger piece and then cut it down the middle so that all of the pin tucks would line up. They line up at the top of the shirt, but then as you get down to these ones down here, you might notice they're kind of not completely even with each other. But that is a tiny detail that is pretty much not noticeable by anyone but me. I just really notice it because I'm the one who put this together. And I tried out something different to what I normally wear with sleeves that are quite puffy and elasticated and are kind of half-length sleeves. Also, I made these fabric covered buttons, which is such a fun thing to do. And it means that the buttons are going to match the shirt that you're making exactly. So I imagine that could be really useful if you're working with a particular type of fabric that it's hard to find a button that goes well with. You can just make buttons that are the same as your fabric. This was a top made from some fabric that was definitely an impulse buy. I was ordering some quilt batting online and I saw that they also sold this fabric, which has a whole bunch of different sea creatures on it, and they're just the most adorable little illustrations of sea creatures. It's got whales and dolphins and stingrays and sharks and jellyfish, trevelry and starfish and corals, and I could just go on and on and on. Anyway, they're really, really cute. I only bought 1 meter of fabric, and as a result, I don't think I ended up cutting it in the right place when I was cutting out my pattern pieces. I think what I should have done if I had really thought about it was to center the whales in the pattern. Just the way it looks on me, I think there's something off about the way that I've cut it out. When I got the fabric, I immediately had the sense that this is something that you're meant to probably make a baby blanket out of. It seems like the perfect kind of material for that and cuteness for that. but I went ahead and made a shirt. I don't wear this that often. I probably should wear it more now that I'm looking at it in the viewfinder. It's a fine shirt. I don't find myself wearing it nearly as often as any of the other pieces that I've made for myself. Probably has something to do with me not cutting the pattern the way that I would have preferred to have cut it. This is a dress that I made with that same organic cotton fabric from Maiwa. I really like this dress. I based it off of one that I had from a long time ago that didn't fit me anymore, so it has the same style, the same way that it opens and closes at the back, which, by the way, I'll show you the back. I didn't do it up because it's just me here, but it has these like buttons on one side and these loops on the other side, so that's how it fastens at the back, and I can't do that on my own. I need to get somebody to do it up for me. The bottom of the dress, you can't see it right now, but I'll insert some photos. It's high in the front and low in the back, and yeah, I really like the shape of it. I just love it as a dress. I'm really glad that I made another copy of it because I loved the one I had before, and now I can keep wearing a dress in the same style. Almost forgot to show you, I have another pair of these self-drafted shorts. This is my favorite shorts pattern ever. It's got an elasticated waistband, these really big patch pockets in the front, and on this pair I didn't even bother putting pockets in the back. But yeah, it's a great pair of shorts, and it's a perfect match in color for that button-down shirt that I made that's a bit cropped, and this also has a higher waistband, so they work really well together, but it also just pairs with lots of other things that I have. Finally, we get to my most recent sewing project and the last one that I have to share with you today, and that is this tiered dress that I made out of some viscose fabric that I had on hand for years and years and years and had just never made anything out of. I love this dress. I love how flowy it is. It feels just really awesome to wear. It's a very nice dress, and I'm planning on making another one. I also might release a pattern for this dress. Let me know if that's something that you might be interested in. I still have to figure out how to make patterns and put together instructions and illustrations and a tutorial video, so I know that there's so much that goes into making patterns, but it is something I'm seriously considering. So if you want to see a pattern for a dress like this, let me know. It is winter right now, and I made this towards the very end of fall, so I really haven't gotten a chance to wear it very much, but I have a feeling when it comes summertime, this is going to be something that I wear almost every day. Thanks so much for watching this video. It's probably been a long one. I know that it feels pretty long for me. I had to take a break partway through to charge my camera batteries, but thanks for sticking with me all the way to the end. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video and maybe got some inspiration for some sewing projects you want to make yourself. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more sewing videos like this one.